Cool. Well, in the interest of time, I'm going to get us started here. So everyone, thanks for spending some time on your Thursday afternoon and joining us. This is our fifth edition of the Unicorn Hunt hosted by Republic. I'm joined by four incredible entrepreneurs, innovators, disrupting industries here. And so we're really excited to hear from them, talk about their companies. They're all currently raising with Republic as well. So please go check out their campaign pages. We'll share the links with you. Be active on their discussion boards. They'd love to engage with you and answer your questions as well. We are joined, the four of us, the four entrepreneurs, Eli Bucher with Easy Expense, Barbara Tallent with Atsign, Raj Rajkota with LootMogul, and Ryan Armstrong with Guac. So the format here, I'm going to let the four of them give a pitch. We'll get into some rapid fire questions after that. And then please use the Q&A function through Zoom to ask any questions that you have for any individual entrepreneurs here. And then we'll get to an audience Q&A at the end. So very excited to hear from all of them and to hear them answer your questions as well. Anything that is deal specific, please direct those questions to the discussion board to remain compliant. That's where they're going to answer those so they can be publicly viewable by everyone. And with that said, it should also be noted that Unicorn Hunt is not a form of investment advice. Investing in private markets is particularly risky and could result in total loss. Past performance is not an indicator of future performance as well. So, please make sure to verify anything in the offering docs and on the campaign page before making investments in any of these companies. So with that said, I would love to, let me give remote access here over to Eli, and we would love to hear a little bit about Easy Expense. So Eli, take it away.
Sweet. There we go. Hi, I'm Elijah Bucher. I'm the founder of Easy Expense. My background is as a growth engineer, where I've been helping startups scale their business. I've run over 100 scientific A/B tests where I've learned exactly what sorts of product changes have a real impact on growth. Our founding team were the first employees at a company called Invoice Simple. Invoice Simple was servicing the same micro SMB market as Easy Expense, and we were able to grow it from where Easy Expense is today, all the way to a successful acquisition. While talking to customers there at Invoice Simple, we found that many of the SMB owners were overwhelmed by bookkeeping and expense tracking. A huge contributor to this was the fact that these customers were not using accounting software and were mixing their business and personal expenses. This problem is not unique to those customers. And in fact, a majority of SMB owners are mixing their business expenses with a personal account. This happens across many different sources. So the most obvious is someone making a business purchase on a personal card or a personal credit card from a personal bank account, but there's also paper receipts. There's a digital email inbox from a personal email that gets work-related receipts. There's employee purchases. There's trips and drives where most contractors don't have a separate work and personal vehicle. But those trips in your personal vehicle need to be separated and tracked separately in order to deduct those on your taxes. All of this is a huge headache that takes weeks of work to sort out. And it's so bad that many business owners simply don't bother. But that means that they're losing thousands of dollars on their taxes and missing essential business insights to the point where they don't even know if they've made a profit because they haven't tracked their expenses. What business owners really want is just a magic shoebox that they can throw their receipts into and get that maximized tax deduction and those business insights out. And that's exactly what Easy Expense has built. In our first year, we got over 100,000 organic installs, and we've been able to convert those installs into paying users. So we have 6,500 paying subscribers and over $40,000 a month in SaaS revenue. I'm incredibly proud of the fact that we have over 10,000 five-star reviews from users that really love using our product and that really love Easy Expense. These users are asking us to integrate more into their business. They're asking us for financial tools that will unlock payment processing revenue for Easy Expense. This is really important because Easy Expense is tracking more and more transaction volume to the point where we're tracking almost $100 million in transaction volume per quarter. Over 40% of our users want to be able to send invoices directly through Easy Expense, and this would help us unlock payment processing revenue. This is a space that we know very well. And so rather than just making a $6 a month SaaS fee, we can get a payment processing revenue of 1% on an invoice that someone sends. And if they send a $5,000 invoice, that's $50. And they might send 5 of those in a month, or they might send a $50,000 invoice, in which case that $250 that's generated from the payment processing starts to really dwarf the revenue that's just being charged on a SaaS. Additionally, 32% of our users want an easy expense debit card or some sort of business card that will help solve that core pain point of making those business purchases on a personal card and automate the separation of business and personal expenses. For us, that unlocks interchange revenue, which is over 2%. And again, lets us take advantage of this massive transaction volume that we're already tracking in Easy Expense. These really are the future of what we can build at Easy Expense. And yeah, I invite anyone to ask questions on our discussion board or ask questions in the chat.
Thanks so much, Eli, and great plug. Yes, please. We've posted the link to Easy Expense, and we'll do the rest for the other 3 companies that are coming up as well. So please visit their campaign pages, engage on their discussion boards. Eli, thank you so much. Barbara, I would love to tee you up, and let me give you remote access as well here so you can click through, and we're very excited to hear about Atsign. So you should be good to go.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. We are solving one of the biggest problems on the internet today. I'm having a hard time with the...
One click of the mouse should activate it, and then your keyboard should do the trick.
There we go. Okay. We are solving one of the biggest problems on the internet today: privacy and security for both people and things. My brilliant co-founders, Kevin and Colin, had been working on this technology for 7 years when they finally figured it out and the technology actually caught up to them. We've all been in the industry for a really long time. I have grown and sold companies, and Kevin has also grown and sold companies, and Colin has deep networking roots in both banking and telecom. Kevin and I go way back, so when I found out what these guys were working on, I dropped everything to join them. We founded the company and went about recruiting the most talented and amazing people that we'd worked with from our past, including the very best engineers, as well as our board chair. And it was surprisingly easy given the mission of the company and also the depth of the technology. And then we balanced out that heavily experienced team with our intern program. And each year we picked the best and the brightest interns to join us. So we now have an unbeatable, distributed, and diverse team. And where we are going to market is in the IoT security market. And the reason, there's 2 reasons actually. There's huge growth in this market over the next few years, but also there's a huge problem in the market right now. A lot of people are putting out IoT devices with absolutely no security or minimal security. And the reason for that is it's just really hard to secure these devices. So today, what people are doing is they're layering on firewalls and VPNs and using static IP addresses to secure IoT devices, which is just way too heavy for these, a lot of times, small devices. And this requires more configuration, more power, and more administration. And it leaves security holes. So there's passwords, there's open ports, and also doesn't do anything to protect the privacy of the data that these devices are generating. So what we've created is a new open source innovation that strips all this down. We go down to the protocol level because the protocol level is the only way you can really lock down these devices. And so what we've done is created a way for people to deploy these devices with much better security. There's 0 attack surfaces and no passwords. And we've eliminated all those security layers, which reduces power consumption. And so this allows for much faster deployment and much less admin cost. And we're seeing a lot of recognition in the industry that this is really the way to go. We've just gotten 2 awards in the IoT security space. And we have over 38 patent claims filed. We've got over 1,700 GitHub stars. And we've got a $10 million pipeline. And so our go-to-market is, we are being integrated into IoT providers' solutions. So we have a SaaS model. And so once our partners deploy our solution, then we get SaaS revenues. So it's a really nice business model, but it has a little longer sales cycle than typically. So our initial go-to-market is an IoT, but the technology applies to consumer apps as well and other apps like insurance. So essentially our total TAM is everything. It's a huge potential market. And our investors, like our employees, are super excited to be part of upgrading the internet with privacy and security. And we hope you will join us. That's me.
Barbara, thank you so much. Great to hear more about Atsign. Let me go ahead and tee up Raj Rajkota with LootMogul. So let me go ahead and give you the remote access there, Raj, and we'll jump right in. Excited to hear from you.
Thank you. So make sure. Okay.
One click on the screen to activate it. Your keyboard should do the trick. Yep.
Got it. Okay. So yeah. So again, welcome everyone. So what we have done is really focused on the Web3 space and bringing some practical applications with real world assets and real world utilities. So essentially, we focused on one segment of Web3, which is sports. And now we have created a digital, physical experience where you can engage with your athletes, your with your stadiums, your brands. And that's really the key value add that we are doing. So we are bringing the power of Web3 to athletes, brands, and fans. Especially if you have seen some of the recent news on the metaverse space, like Disney shutting down the metaverse and many other companies. The big thing with metaverse is that you need an anchor for people to come back and really engage with the real world athletes. So gone are the days of, like, in my view, Bored Apes and others, right? So these are some of the key applications that we focus on. We are part of, we got selected by NBA Player Association along with NFL Player Association. And in our model, you are engaging with the problem statement we are solving for is that there are no immersive platforms from the metaverse perspective. The digital assets or NFTs have no real world utilities. They're complicated, time consuming, and so forth. The solution is that, let's say you are a fan of Lisa Leslie. You can play with Lisa Leslie's avatar. You can learn from her educational stuff. Let's say you are a fan of a particular stadium, let's say New England Patriots or Gillette Stadium. You can go experience those elements not only inside the stadium, but also in real life, right? So you can have those activities. Everything is AI driven. The metaverse segment, as you have seen from projection perspective, people have projected this to be $5 trillion, $8 trillion economy, and so forth. And then our sports specific one, with especially two revenue channels, one is B2B and one is B2C. On the B2B front, that's an $84 billion where if you think about the old fashioned, let's say Dick's Sporting Goods, there was physical store, then they had an online store, and Shopify was one of the tools to help them go online. And now you have a Web3 meta store where you dress up the hoodies or the t-shirt or the shoes for your avatar, but you also get shipped to your house. So that's where we are that bridge to convert your Web2 stores into Web3, along with athletes, like real world athletes that you can play with. In terms of traction, what we have accomplished is really we have signed up 253 brand ambassadors with a total reach of 104 million people, right? So that's where you are targeting the social media, so forth. We are live with 7 blockchain games right now. We have 24,000 users playing per day. And then the key other accomplishment is, apart from all the stats, we are cash flow positive, right? So that's one of the key things for this young 2.5-year-old startup. We are generating enough cash to be a cash flow positive business. And this business obviously is highly profitable in the way we are structured, the stable revenue from both ends. So here is our current revenue traction. We are doing 80K per month on the revenue side. We have a stable income from B2B, which is as a Shopify-based model. And then you have variable game revenue, B2C. So that's the critical element. As Metaverse is projected to be the two major component of the Metaverse, e-commerce and gaming, we focus on those two. We are already generating revenue from those two major elements. Projection-wise, we have net margin of 37%. And then we have some of the key strategic partners we're executing, and that will be a big boost from just a traction perspective. And then the last slide is the team. So my background, obviously, I worked at Riot Games, Warner Brothers, as a head of technology, information technology. We have built some of the biggest games, but we have also onboarded a lot of key advisors, like, for example, Zai Ortiz, who was one of the creators for Iron Man Jarvis system. Along with, we have some of the top-notch brand ambassadors who are also investors in LootMogul. So not only we focus on the legacy of the NFL, NBA legends, but also we are focusing on the high school, college, NCAA level athletes. So for example, Mikey Williams has 3.8 million followers, 18-year-old kid. So we are targeting a lot of NIL level transactions. So that gives us a sustainable model, not from a just from growth perspective, which is very Web3 game-centric users. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
No, thank you, Raj. Really appreciate that. I go ahead and steal the remote access back from you and then send it over to Ryan Armstrong. Very excited to hear from our fourth and final entrepreneur today, telling us a little bit more about Guac. So take it away, Ryan.
All right, trying to get, and it pushed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
here. I'll take the mouse
one
back.
that did it. Here, I'll get back to it.
All right, good stuff.
Now give it to me. Okay. Perfect. So I'm Ryan Armstrong, co-founder and president of Guac, a fintech solution that's solving problems for our members and business partners with our auto tip technology. Oh, and went one too far. Problem is simple, right? As a society, as a younger generation, we struggle to save money. The latest data is showing that for every $100 that we're bringing in, we're saving just $2.30, right? These are all-time lows. So how do we solve this problem? By turning spending into the savings solution. We do this with our auto tip technology. And what we're doing for both individuals and businesses is we're giving them that tech to quickly and consistently create savings by automatically tipping themselves on their debit and credit card purchases. So I know what you're thinking. Is this just another roundup? This is not another roundup, right? And our patent is very unique with this. So we allow our members to set aside a percentage, right? An auto tip every time they spend. So our Guac users can save $1,000 in just 90 days, giving them true utility and really showing them that stacking a small win every day allows you to create and achieve big goals. Our robust automated savings method patent was published by the USP this past January. These are our 2022 metrics, and we've seen significant growth in just the past few years with over 110,000 customers, $22 million in savings, and the value of gross revenue just under $2 million. We've also analyzed over $200 million of transactional data that we are in the process of monetizing with our business partners. We also executed significant partnerships with Amazon, Walmart, Super, and Asa Financial. What's next for Guac? The transformation of our revenue model. Guac is going direct with our API exposure and white label products. First is with our banks and credit unions. These banks and credit unions are actively requesting Guac's technology, our auto tip tech, for their ecosystem. We currently have 12 banks and credit unions under contract with 18 million members. These banks and credit unions will presenting Guac to their members, giving us free user acquisition and significant revenue growth by paying $25 per savings account created. Why would these banks and credit unions do this? Two main reasons. Number one is 90% of them are losing to other fintechs. Those members are using some type of fintech. Now they can use in-house fintech, the best tools possible. And second, deposit displacement. We all saw what happened with SVB and Signature Bank, right? Those bank runs happen because those deposits are pulled. Think about what our technology does. Those auto tips that are 10, 20, 30% of every transaction are automatically going back to that bank savings account that they can then leverage those deposits. So we're solving their two biggest concerns, and so they'll gladly compensate Guac for the technology. Second is our e-commerce partnership with Super, right? They're requesting Guac's technology to create purchasing powers for their 40 million members. They give them our auto tip tool, allow them to save while they spend, create those savings that then they use in their ecosystem, creating more purchasing power. How did Guac start? From the direct need. So while I was at Southern Methodist University, I was a scholarship athlete. And when I was there, me and my teammates, we'd run out of money, that scholarship money, the stipend that we'd get every month by the end of that month. So we're all looking to each other, who's got a couple bucks here and there? Well, me as a finance and econ major, I thought there was a better way to do this. That's where I found the roundups. And I thought, this is cool. If I want my money when I graduate, what about next Friday? And so that's where the auto tip technology was born, right? Setting aside a percentage, stacking real cash so that the next Friday or a short-term goal is very achievable, providing that dopamine drip and the behavioral sciences of stacking a small win to achieve a goal that we so desperately need as a younger generation. The prior exit from my co-founder, Scott Armstrong, as well as my father and CEO, he had an exit back in 2014 with Novartis for $350 million, which allowed us to bootstrap Guac to our first raise and build one of the most successful, robust fintech teams in the country. When you look at our team, we have our CFO, who's got a myriad of prior exits and IPOs. We have advisors from the Honey and Acorns team, as well as a robust legal team from that Acorns team. And I also wanted to talk about the tipping culture, right? Everyone here, I guarantee, has a tip recently, right? You go to coffee, you go to lunch, they're flipping over the iPad, right? You're tipping everyone else. We are conditioned to work in this manner. So if we're tipping everyone else, why don't we tip ourselves first? And again, stacking those tips, stacking those small wins every day allows us to really have behavioral change. So what does this lead to, right? As I've talked to you, the free user acquisition that's happening right now with our organic loops from our members using our technology, from e-commerce to banks to employee benefits, that then leads to them bringing in our technology into their ecosystem for a white label product, right? Where there's significant revenue generation there, but ultimately that is going to lead to each of these verticals wanting the IP for their own, which we believe will lead to a myriad of M&A opportunities. And one of the main reasons why we recently brought in John Bluer, our new CFO, to have us prepared and ready to execute. I look forward to answering more questions. This has been such a fun experience, and it's so enjoyable to share the stage with other innovators like everyone here. So very cool.
Ryan, thanks so much. It's not over yet. So glad you're enjoying it. I am going to take the remote control back from you here. And I've got a couple prepared questions that I'm curious to hear about, and hopefully the rest of the audience is as well. But please also continue to use the Q&A function and the webinar chat here to ask some of your own questions, some that might lead into forward-looking statements we might want to avoid, and then direct those to the discussion board as well. But let me go ahead and get this started. I would love to toss it back to Eli to get us rolling. My first question here, it's actually a two-part question, but I'd love to hear from you. When speaking with investors, what gets them really excited about your company? And then on the flip side there, what are some of the fears or concerns that you hear from investors as well?
Yeah. So in terms of worries from investors, one of the biggest things is that we're focused on SMB, and a lot of investors are concerned about SMB because there's a lot of challenges there where the LTV is lower, so your CAC has to be much lower, and you need to have a lot of product-led growth in order to get customers in efficiently. You can't have a long, expensive sales cycle. It needs to be short, and you need to acquire customers cheaply. Fortunately, we've really solved this problem at Easy Expense. Our customer acquisition cost is below 50 cents per customer. And we are able to do this by having an amazing product that people are promoting on their own. So we have 10,000 5-star reviews, which really helps us organically, as well as people just sharing us with their friends. So that actually kind of translates into a strength for Easy Expense and something to get excited about. It's a really hard space with the SMBs. It's really hard to do that. It's hard to replicate what we have done in terms of that organic traction. And that provides us with a really, really strong wedge to acquire right now at 250,000 installs per year, and a strong wedge into transitioning that into additional financial services. So whether that's tax filing, whether that's the invoicing and payment processing, the credit cards that we talked about, we have a strong customer base that we can offer these financial products to.
Thanks so much. Barbara, would love to ask that same question over to you. What gets investors really excited? And then conversely, what are some of the concerns that you hear from them as well?
Yeah, well, it's actually one and the same as far as what gets them really excited is the huge opportunity. They can see how this technology applies to so many different areas. So that is one of the concerns too, is that as a startup, you've got to focus. And so we have chosen to focus on the IoT security market, which in and of itself is just $33 billion market by 2032. So it's a huge opportunity just by itself. But investors just love the fact that this is just a really innovative technology. But they're also excited about our mission of bringing privacy and security to the internet. All of our investors are super conscious that that's a problem that has to be solved. And then they love the team as well.
That's great. Thank you so much. Raj, would love to ask that same question over to you. What gets investors really excited about LootMogul, and what are some of the concerns that you might hear as well?
Yeah. So the key element, everybody, for most of the investors, they're in alignment. Web3 is the future. So that's a good news for us. They also like our focus, which is sports, because sports and gaming and e-commerce, right? Those are the natural adoption of Web3. Especially as I use the analogy from going from a brick and mortar store to web online, now to Web3. That's pretty much a very niche market and a very fast and highly profitable market. So that would be the one area that we get a lot of good feedback from the investors. The concerns that we also get is that is Web3 same as AR, VR, right? And is AR, VR ready for prime time? And especially with all this industry news around Disney and many others who have radically transformed, or Facebook calling themselves from Facebook to Meta. So there's some bad press around the overall macro. And like many of us on this panel, as a startup, you have to be not only strategic, but very tactful on really figuring out low-hanging fruit in this fast-growing market to $500 billion market by 2030. Where are the areas that you can do immediate impact? And that's where real world athletes, real stadiums, real people is something that we focus on, and bringing them onboarded to Web3 space. And then obviously for fans, give that experience back to the fans in Web2 and Web3 space, right? Meaning what you wear in for your avatar inside the LootMogul platform is the same item or the shoe or merchandise that you can be having it physically shipped to your house, right? So that's a commerce element and gaming element. And who doesn't want to meet Lisa Leslie, or who doesn't want to hang out with Carlos Boozer, not only in the meta world, but also in real life, right? So that would be the key benefit of that low-hanging fruit strategy and the disruption-wise. So those are the two things investors are generally concerned. And I do see one question on the webinar chat that I'll answer on the panel.
Sure. Yeah, I think one of my questions here will tee you up for an answer there pretty nicely. So we'll get to that in a second. Ryan, would love to have you wrap us up on this first question. Yep. Tell us what gets investors really excited about Guac.
Yeah, so kind of like everyone said, a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? So our growth, as I just showed you there, they're so excited about our growth and our utility in so many different verticals, specifically, right, with the banks and credit unions and e-commerce solving their problems. It's incredible for, right, acquiring, from the current customers under contract, acquiring up to 58 million from them, all for free user acquisition because they're using our tech, and then obviously the revenue that generates from them. But on the double-edged sword, right, then it's the growth. Having the infrastructure built there, right? And so that's what we've done on our side is, okay, are we ready to take on those type of members? And we are, based on our servers, right? Based on the human capital and the infrastructure that we're building, we're going to be ready to take that on. But like I said, it's kind of the double-edged sword there. The other thing is just the true utility in solving a real problem, right? Look, as I kind of spoke to, we all know we're heading into recessionary times, right? And at the end of the day, our tool will allow our members to save quickly and consistently. With just our 10% auto tip, after just 3 months, you're saving more than 60% of America, right? You have more of those tangible savings that can be utilized. And it's so cool because our tech can also be utilized in Web 3.0, right? In the metaverse, it can be utilized with crypto and blockchain. And so it has true utility right now, right? With dollars and cents, which is what we all need. But down the line, right, as these innovators and individuals, right, are building, we also have utility in those type of spaces as well.
Makes sense. Yeah, and we're so excited to hear from all four of these industries. And so I'm going to stay with you here, Ryan,
Yeah.
on the second question. And how do you view the landscape of your industry evolving over the next 3 to 5 years?
I'm so excited. And so I'll give you guys some. So I was just in Vegas at the FinTech meetup, and it was so cool to see other innovators and so many people wanting to partner. And that's what I see. We're going to be solving the world's problems together. Obviously, we know there's going to be consistent growth year over year, but I think it's more about the utility again and how we're going to change this world. I think from banking, from shopping, right, from standard sales, from e-commerce, from open finance, all the things that we're going to do to make people's lives easier and work better. That's what I'm excited for. I'm all about transformative change. And I think we absolutely have that right now with the current innovators. And over these next few years, it's going to grow massively.
Great. Raj, I would love to pass this back over to you and ask the same question. How do you view the landscape of your industry continuing to evolve over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so we feel so there is going to be generic metaverses like Facebook, right? So Facebook is more we call generic metaverses. So imagine in the Web2 space, you had Amazon that is obviously dominant metaverse, online e-commerce store. And they have created that brand. But then there are a lot of other websites, highly profitable, whether they are Wayfair type companies, which is focusing on the household goods, or whether there are companies like Chewy and many others, right? So there's specific niche markets that people have created those segments, or DraftKings and many others. What we see in our space is that, yes, there will be more of a vertical metaverses that eventually will all connect together, but you will be building your own meta presence in one of those metaverses, and it will be portable. So today I want to watch some new events for the basketball, football, soccer, right, cricket, any game you want, and then you port your avatar to do some shopping, right, and then you port your avatar to Facebook and do more of social activity with your generally friends or family members, right? So those kind of avatar portation is natural, and you don't need a fancy Oculus device or any of those devices. It can be as simple as your PC. It can be as simple as your iPhone, which has AR capabilities already, as we have learned from Pokemon Go. So to me, the industry right now is a tremendous opportunity. We feel that it's the next internet revolution, right? Web 2 was a big internet revolution. Web 3 is the same manner. And as long as the companies follow some ethical guidelines, right, which is something that stay away from any of the tokenization that may lead into any issues, but focus on the core value that you can bring for the community. And that's where I like what Ryan said, right? It's something that the payment gateways focus on. How do you generate utilities for the other ecosystem partners? And that's what we are truly, and even Barbara's IoT security focus, right? That's another item that we feel the metaverse will need a lot of security, especially on IoT level, whether it's iPhone level or Android devices. And there's a tremendous opportunity for all of us to scale and grow.
Thank you so much. And additional thank you for the Pokemon Go reference. I love it. Barbara, would love to pass this over to you and ask that same question. Obviously, very relevant industry with security. How do you view that landscape of your industry evolving over the next few years?
Yeah, I think the big thing is the privacy legislation. So California already has privacy legislation. Europe actually has IoT privacy legislation. And so that's just growing in every country. So that's definitely going to have an impact over the next few years. The other big one, of course, is AI. And AI is fabulous, but you want some data you don't want to share with AI. And so end-to-end encryption is perfect for protecting that data. And then, but for the data that you do want, you really want to do a lot of that processing out on the edge. And our technology allows you to do that. So AI processing out on the edge is another way that we help people with these IoT devices. So that's what we see going forward.
Makes a lot of sense. Yes, thanks so much. Eli, I'd love to have you wrap up this question and tell us how your industry, how you view the landscape of it evolving over the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, as Ryan said, fintech is growing massively every year. There's 20% CAGR there, and I mean, obviously that leads to high multiples, which is great. Additionally, in the US alone, there's over 1 million new SMBs every year that are getting formed, which are exactly what our target customer is. So we get lots of new customers coming in every year. And then for us, sort of a big why now, and like why this is going to be super successful now, there's a lot of opportunity with these AI and natural language models and applying that to easy expense. So we have created an interface that is really good at collecting financial data from all over all these different sources and aggregating that, which is really the perfect application to get a big language model like ChatGPT, like these things that are coming out, and really piggyback on that democratization of AI and utilize that to maximize what we can do with that data, whether that's helping people in many different countries with filing their taxes, having live access to a chat that can answer tax questions, and not only answer general tax questions, but has access to all of the user's data. So it can answer very personalized tax questions and offer help there.
Makes sense. I'm going to stay with you for my third and final question, and then we'll get to some of the audience questions as well. Would love to hear about your next big milestone and some of the ways that you're going to get it accomplished.
Yeah, so we had a really strong last quarter. We did 40% quarter over quarter revenue growth. And on iOS, in just the last month, we almost got 100% increase in installs and 25% increase in revenue there. And one of the big things that we want to do is get parity. So we launched on Android first, getting parity on iOS and Android. We're also launching that card that I keep talking about. We've launched it internally, and actually today we onboarded our first users onto that card. So very excited about that and the revenue opportunities there. And looking forward into the fintech space and how we can take advantage of that $100 million quarterly transaction volume that we're handling.
That's great. And thanks for joining us on a monumental day. Congrats. Barbara, would love to ask that same question over to you. What is the next big milestone for Atsign, and how are you going to get that accomplished?
Yeah, as I said, our revenue model is through partnerships. So we've signed 20 partnerships. We just signed an amazing distributor over in Singapore. And we plan on signing another 20 partnerships over the next year and getting those to revenue. Great.
Raj, how about yourself? Next big milestone, and how are you going to get that accomplished?
Yeah. So our next big milestone is really so we already have a reach of 104 million through our ambassadors. So our main goal is conversion of those 104 million target sports fanatics, whether they are football fans, soccer fans, or basketball fans. And even we have other partnership that you may have seen from many of the LinkedIn updates. We are in progress with onboarding, like even Rodeo, right, as a game in Metaverse. So all those new game acquisition can easily scale some of our revenue projections, because we already have a target sports fanatics that all we need to do is convert them from Web 2 to Web 3. Now, obviously, there are certain things that we are aware that will be tactical from a brand acquisition perspective. So as you know, we have already acquired some of the sports-centric brand like Hoop Culture for clothing line, DKS Shoe for the shoe wear. So those kind of B2B transaction also is going to a critical part. And we already have some major deals that we signed, in fact, a day before yesterday, that's going to come out soon.
That's great. Ryan, I'd love to wrap it up with you on this question. Next big milestone, how are you going to get over that line?
First, just love that everyone's, they're hitting milestones like while we're here. So cool. Great job, guys. Right. So yeah, ours is that direct API exposure, specifically with the banks and credit unions, right? So we got 12 under contract right now. We're getting ready to launch this quarter. Obviously from the user acquisition and the revenue generation, it's very significant. You guys can do the math real quick on that. And then actually kind of similar, in the past couple of weeks, we've had 2 additional banks and credit unions reach out to go direct as well. So that's really the focus here. And then I would say the e-commerce side, that's getting ready for Q3. So that direct partnership is getting ready for Q3. So those are the two main things. We know we show any level of success here, it transforms the business.
That's great. Yep. And round of applause to all four of you. These are great times for everybody here. Have a few questions in the chat roll, the Q&A, and actually this is going to be a good one for all four of you, but I'll start it off with you, Ryan, and then we'll go back down the line as a fourth question here. You talk about a little bit your experience at Raising with Republic and what led you to come to crowdfunding.
Absolutely. Oh, great question. So it gives all of our members the chance to become Guac owners. So this is going to sound kind of crazy, but what in our this is our second round with Republic. In our initial round, we actually had 400 members come from Republic, download Guac to do due diligence, and then say, hold on here, this can actually create savings that I need to invest. Those members directly invested in our deal from Guac. And so it gives us our little Guac army, right? Where they can become Guac owners, they can be Guac investors, and they can go out there and speak the language and build our story. So we absolutely love crowdfunding and creating ownership for all our members.
That's great. Thanks a bunch. Raj, how about yourself? LootMogul, what led you to Republic?
So same as Ryan, right? So many of our athletes, we have now close to 312 athletes. And we were looking at giving them opportunity to become an investor in LootMogul. So it's one thing to be a brand ambassador, but the other thing, especially at a college level, right? So at a college level, you are a young basketball player, right? And you want to use our platform to really reach out to your fan base or create your fan base. And when you're getting all signed up, one of the key questions is, oh, can I also become an equity holder in the company? And to us, it's like, that's why we went to Republic, is that for $100 minimum investment, and now a high school athlete or a college athlete can become an investor in LootMogul, right? So that's the key catch with this amazing platform, and also a very compliant platform, right? So for us, that was a critical thing. We wanted a platform to be super compliant, and we wanted all our athletes to become the investors. And even we have quite a few name brand investors that are using Republic to invest a few $1,000s, right? So it's not like but our main objective was to really get athletes and sports fans be invested in LootMogul, and for as low as $100.
Yep. Thank you so much. And I might sound a bit robotic at times, but it's because we value the compliance and following all the guidelines that are set forth for us. Barbara, would love to hear that same question over to you. What led you to Republic and crowdfunding?
Yeah, so for crowdfunding, we have a big open source community and a lot of people who really wanted to participate in our safe rounds, but our minimum was 25K, and that's just a little much for a lot of developers. So that's why we decided to do crowdfunding, which has been a lot of fun. And then we chose Republic. We looked at all the other platforms. We chose Republic because we have an international community, and Republic made it easier for people in our international community to invest. And then I also really liked your compliance. I felt like it was a pretty high bar. Your due diligence was excellent. And I wanted to be part of that community that went through that high bar.
Well, thank you so much. Many teams internally are going to love to hear that as well. Eli, I'd love to wrap it up on this question. What led you to crowdfunding?
Yeah, it seemed like an obvious path for us, as we have hundreds of thousands of users and get to take advantage of that, and having an easy platform for them to get invested in. Easy Expense is great. We've had over 100 of our users now invest in Easy Expense, and it's just awesome to have the brand ambassadors there. There's certainly some traffic that comes in from Republic as well. But yeah, it's really great to have our users be so invested and not just loving Easy Expense, but actually be owners of it.
Yep. Thanks so much. I'm going to, Ryan, tee you up here. It looks like you answered this through the chat, but this could be a good question to send to all four of you as well afterwards. Are you considering working with any banks that are not based in the US? And yeah, just talk a little bit about your international footprint.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a couple of different things here. We actually have a partnership with Intermestic Partners. So that is for an international expansion down in Mexico. So what's really nice here is with that partnership with Sergio, he kind of is our boots on the ground. So there is some complications on the political side right now for bringing US companies over. So we're kind of in a holding pattern there. But our patent is international. So we do have the ability to expand. As you guys can imagine from social, right? We get hit up every day from different countries wanting us to bring Guac to them. But like anything else, right? We have to be very smart with our expansion. And so that will come in time. But we do have the groundwork kind of laid for that. And so there will be the ability to go international with specific banks and to help other banks in other countries with these challenges.
Thanks so much. Raj, would love to hear your answer on that, and I'll pitch it to the other two panelists as well. Talk a little bit about your international footprint and how's that fit into your roadmap?
Yeah, so right now we are almost 80% US, right? With especially NBA, NFL as our two major sports that we focus on. But yeah, we have in our pipeline, and that's one of the, again, questions that was asked about how we are scaling our revenue from 1 million to 12 million. In our pipeline, we already have quite a few cricket teams, especially in South Africa and Asia, that we are focused on onboarding them. It's most of now onboarding the leagues out there, which is a huge exposure. And then the second is soccer, right? So we have been in conversations with several soccer clubs in Europe. So Europe and Asia will be our two growth areas from a sports perspective. So then obviously with four major sports, basketball, football, soccer, and cricket, that should keep us super busy for at least a couple of decades. Just kidding.
That's funny. Barbara, would love to ask that same question to you. International plans in your roadmap, and how does that fit in to the growth?
Yeah, we started as an international company. We have international employees. IoT has really taken off in different areas of the globe. We talked about Singapore a little bit. The smart buildings are just really taking off in that area. So we are international from very beginning, and one of the reasons why we chose the Republic platform.
Yeah, that's great. Eli, as well, would love to hear from you and talk about how international growth fits into your plan.
Yeah, right now, Easy Expense is available all across the world. We have customers in pretty much every single country in the world. We're definitely US focused and primarily launching a lot of our fintech products in the US first, but eventually we would love to expand into other countries as well.
Sweet. Couple of questions here. I'm actually just really quickly going to answer. In terms of sharing email addresses, we really would encourage everyone, all the attendees and audience members, to go visit the discussion board. That really is the best way to engage with all four of the entrepreneurs here and to remain compliant while we do it. And then you can look them up on social media as well. I'll go grab their LinkedIn's and engage through that as well. And I think that we're going to try to get into closing remarks here. We'll go in the same order as we went with the pitches. Florin, you've asked really great questions as well, just about crowdfunding and about Republic. And so I think our answers in the last question kind of summed up what really led them to this route and the crowdfundability of each of their companies. So going to get into the closing remarks here. Eli, we'll start with you and give you a couple of seconds here to wrap us up.
Yeah, well, I appreciate everyone who's joined today. I would encourage everyone who is excited about Easy Expense to go download our app. It's free to download, super easy to do. You can check out our receipt scanner. It's very fun to play with. You just hold it over a receipt and it works its magic right away. And yeah, I would encourage anyone to engage with me in the discussion on Republic if you have any follow-up questions for Easy Expense.
That's the best way to do it. Yep. Thanks so much. Barbara, can you wrap us up and give some closing remarks for Atsign?
Sure. Our technology is so new and revolutionary that it's kind of mind-blowing sometimes when people first see it. But it really is, we believe it'll be the standard for locking down devices on the internet. And so I would encourage you also to go over to our site, and I'm happy to answer any questions there.
Yep, they have all four of the companies here have some really great campaign pages, very informative. So please do check those out when you have some time. Raj, would love to hear some closing remarks from you and from LootMogul.
Yep. Yeah, so the Web3 is the future, right? Blockchain is here to stay, right? And we know the power of blockchain along with this entire decentralization that's going around the world, and with especially in the banking sector too. So the Web3 is future. You are getting it in a very specific Web3 project like LootMogul, which is focusing on sports. Eventually, will expand into entertainment. But the sports and entertainment are the two most profitable segments worldwide. And that's what we are focused on. Check out again our campaign page, connect with me on the discussion LinkedIn, and we can share a lot more details if need be.
Very much appreciated. And Ryan, would love to send it over to you to wrap up with some closing remarks.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone again. What a cool opportunity. And just kind of like Eli said, you want to do due diligence, check out our app, download it. It's what all our members say. After 30 days, it's kind of like a drug. You're hooked. You can't stop. And so would recommend all of you to do that. And then just think to it again about the utility here, right? So we are protecting right now with real dollars and cents, protecting against those recessionary times for members, but also our business partners, creating purchasing power. And you can see where our roadmap is going. You can see, as we've talked about with Web 3.0, with blockchain, where this is leading, and that utility that can be utilized now with dollars and cents to solve problems, but in the future as well.
Awesome. Well, huge thank you to each of the four of you, super busy entrepreneurs spending some time with us to engage with our following and some of the audience members here. And thank you to the audience as well for carving out some of your Thursday afternoon and hearing about these companies. So with that said, I'll wrap it up for today. And again, last time, go visit the campaign pages, engage on the discussion board, and learn some more about the opportunities here. With that said, I'll wrap it up. So everyone take care, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Sure.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.